What are some other active engagement things? Asking questions, I love that. What's another active engagement in the classroom?
I would say be ready for class before class starts. So if I assign you to read something on your own, Shakespeare, for example, and you come to class and you simply tell me, well, I read it, but I didn't understand it. Your job and responsibility is once class starts, you can discuss it with me at the senior level.
Yes, one of my favorite things is in volumes and areas. Like, oh, I couldn't remember the formula for that volume of a prism or a cylinder. And I'm like, do you have the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have all of the knowledge of humanity recorded in ones and zeros at the type? Or I can just talk to my phone and it'll tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Come prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I can't read Shakespeare, because I'm going to be honest, Shakespeare was not my dude, okay? He was not my boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't necessarily love his language. But the thing is, right now, I can ask my phone to read me Shakespeare.
Or look up a translation, which I tell them to
Mhm.
do. It's okay to do it. Just
So
look it up.
so just to clarify another study skill, use the internet. And what we're really actually teaching you is not, I don't know if you do Caesar or Macbeth or Hamlet, whichever one you do. We're not really teaching you those books. We don't frankly care. Okay, another secret. We don't really care about those books. What we want to teach you is how to approach something like that. Or we want to approach a large, hairy social issue. Or we want to approach a problem in math that requires some sort of calculation. We don't care about the problem. We care about teaching you how to approach the problem. So that actually brings us into another study skill. What do I do when things get tough? What's a study skill for when I maybe have prepared but still don't understand? What's my study skill?
I've heard this from a teacher that taught younger kids, but I loved it, was if I had a question in class, I have to ask at least 3 students before I can ask the teacher because they might know that answer and be able to explain it to me better than a teacher would. I know how I understand it and how I would explain it, but another student might be like, oh, well, this is what it actually means, and then it clicks with them. So that's something else. I would not just ask for the answer, but rely on your classmates. Where it's kind of all a team. If you are supposed to have an individual answer, that's different. But if we're all working towards that same thing, there's nothing wrong with communicating with your classmates or somebody else at home, and maybe they can explain something that's more your speed than what I said.
So the first go-to when things get tough is go get some help.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned also that don't just ask for the answer. Ask for the explanation. Why is that important, especially as we move kind of from basic freshman topics to more junior, senior topics? How come asking the how did you get there question becomes even more important?
Because you can apply it to different situations. If we're talking about, our job is to teach you an approach to the problem and how to solve that. Then if we're just telling you how to do it, you won't understand how to apply it to a different situation.
And I think that's where we're going here. The answer is not so much important as the journey. And so, first of all, we got to be prepared, as you mentioned, for the journey. We got to use our resources. Make sure those are done. Ask questions. Use that humility, kind of like we talked in our last session as well. Ask those questions. Use your time wisely asking those questions. And when things get really tight and really tough, where do I go beyond that? Who do I go to?
Us.
Yeah,
We create the material and the tests and the prompts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's what I would say too, is that it's probably a lot of the stuff that they're going to see at the high school level, a lot of it is teacher created. So there's specific things we're wanting you to find. I know in geography we've got a lot where some students struggle because there's not just that one answer. I want them to apply it, like Ms. Riley said, to this situation, and you might be picking a country that might not have the same answers as this country, and that's why I want you, but I want you to ask them, how did you find this? Where do I go to find this? Then you get those skills before you have to then come to me. I should be the ultimate, resource when it comes to that, but I don't want to be a crutch. It's just, okay, I'll just tell you exactly where everything is.
Now, let's move this to the workplace a little bit because we're talking study skills. Warning, study skills are really just workplace skills. Would you agree that come prepared is a workplace skill?
Yeah.
Would you agree that I need to have all my other resources exhausted before I go ask my team in the workplace? When I do go ask my team, I should have something useful to offer them as well. That's a workplace skill. And after we've exhausted all those, we still may need to go to the boss or another team or to a documentation, whatever it is that says this is the scope of work you're trying to accomplish. Because the reality is, guys, when you go into the workplace, rarely is your job specifically defined such that there is an answer. This is why we're talking about not the correct answer in Macbeth or the correct answer on how many casualties of this or that or what the volume of the cube is. We're asking you to learn a process because when you get to the workplace, those problems are going to not be very well defined and there could be like multiple answers. And that's actually where study skills and workplace skills become even more important, is addressing where there are multiple solutions. Okay, so one of the things I think that we can take away is whether it's time management or task management, or whether it's study skills in the sense of workplace skills, come prepared, use your resources, count on your team, and you may have to call in an expert. All of these things not just apply here, but they apply in the workplace, and they're going to be great skills for you to have as you move forward, whatever that is.